All right, what is up, everybody? Shadow Scout 0013 here, coming in for another unit breakdown and list build. This time with General Veers, mostly also because he's gone down in points, and I haven't talked about him yet. And he's actually a decent, general commander or generic commander in a way. He's not quite generic, but he is the Empire's vehicle commander, which I wish Rebels had. Now the Galactic Army of the Republic, or GAR, has it, and I guess CIS also has it. Technically, I guess Kalani could be considered one because of that AI direct, and then he's been really, really good with the spiders. So yeah, this is mostly the Imperial one, and I've got all three of his command cards plus an extra generic 2-pip that really goes well with him because most of the time you're probably going to bring supports or heavies. And I probably went over a list with the dewbacks that had him and 11-ax. It had him either Din and or Boba, because you could technically flip-flop them out. They're exactly the same points basically now with all the upgrades. So you could have Veers, Boba, or Mando, and then you could have 3 dewbacks and then still have a really... I'll just show you later. But yes, all right. So if you haven't already, go ahead and head to the Discord, because in the Discord, you're going to be able to get a really good amount of information from everybody here. I know I'm just kind of scrolling through everything, but yeah, you get photos, and I love this. Bungle, thank you so much for posting these photos. Everyone else, whenever you're doing your work in progress or your finished projects, is really cool to see, everyone's paint jobs and how everyone is doing really well with them, and I'm glad that you guys keep showing them off. I try to at least heart every one of them, and I take a look at them all, and at least, I'm just happy that you guys are posting, and they look really good. I probably wouldn't be able to look that great either, but for mine, because I'm not necessarily a painter, but yeah, if you ever want to look at any of my stuff personally, you can go to my Instagram, ShadowScout0013, and check that out, and I'm actually barely on there, but I need to get on there more, but yeah. All right, so, and secondly, if you haven't already, go ahead and head to the Patreon. Here, you're going to be able to find little extra videos and little insights and stuff like that, breaking down red versus blue player, which one you want to be, kind of some objectives and stuff like that. So this is a good one, just kind of to help support the channel. And kind of what I do is I'm going to do giveaways, which there is still a new one going on right now. So leave a comment and be a subscriber, and you're entered in to win. And if you go to the Discord, you're also entered in to win. And that's kind of like 2 entries. And right now we're giving away a $25 gift card. We do have a June painting contest going on. So if you haven't already, you can also head to Hobby June Painting Contest and submit your work. We're doing one for core. We're doing one for special forces. We're doing one for vehicles, or I should say support and or heavy. And then we're also doing a commander operative. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here, and the winner's going to receive either dice and or some promo cards. So it is beneficial to, submit whatever you want in here. And the more people that you have submitting, the better. So yeah, go ahead and take advantage of that chance. And lastly, if you haven't already, you can head to theburnacademy.com. You could subscribe for $15 a month. You get 3, 4, 5, and 6-day week workout programs, corrective exercise programs, 30-minute torture program in case you're short on time. Abs and core, if you want to do them at home, there's stuff, and there's 120 different recipes in case you need ideas. And you get to track your progress. There's coaching videos. There's so much for you, and there will be kind of a revamp of the entire website and what I offer coming up after I finish the test for my next certification. And I will be a bootyologist, in case any of you want to know. Not technically, but I'm getting a glute certification, so I will be certified in teaching glutes, or teaching how to build up your hips, glutes, and all that stuff. So yeah, I like to call myself a bootyologist, a bootyology, along with a bodybuilding cert, training cert, and a corrective exercise certification in case anyone has had any injuries. So, all right, let's get to it. Let's take a look at General Veers here. Super simple. He's only 70 points. He's down 10 points from where he originally was because, if that Inspire 1 could go up, then maybe we could justify that 80 points. But he's got Spotter 2, which is just one more than the generic. Inspire 1, which is the same as generic. Precise 1, which is different. That is one of his keywords, which is awesome because then you basically get to re-roll all 3 of his attack dice from range 1 to 3. And it's Pierce and Surge to crit. So it's almost like a mortar shot. You're really hoping for those surges and or crits, and it's Pierce. So that's really really nice. And he's got 2 black in melee. It's I would expect this from Veers. That's fine. And sharpshooter 1, so at least there's better chances of trying to get something through. He's got 5 health, 2 courage. He does have red dice saves. He's got 2 command slots, which is really nice, and then a gear slot. You can practically pair him up with almost anybody and anything. It's just, do you want to save points? And if you do, go with the generic. And it's 20 points, or is it 15 points difference? What is the generic cost here? Is about 50? Yeah, 50. So 20 points cheaper. Basically, you lose an aim, and that's really it. I mean, if you just want support, go with the generic Empire officer. But if you want something that kind of has some command cards and you can pair with any other operative, Veers is not that bad, and I'll show you some lists. Let's take a look at his command cards real fast. So his 1 pip maximum firepower. At the end of General Veers' activation, he can perform an attack using the following weapon. Range 4 to infinity. It's a barrage, basically. It's 4 red dice. You are going to be searching to crit. It's impact 2 and immune to deflect. The impact 2 is not bad. Impact 3 would be even better. And he does have sharpshooter 1, so you will at least be able to cancel 1 from cover. So you might be left with just about 3 red dice that could be going through, and then maybe if they were all hits, you only have really 2 coming through, and it's just 1 attack. So it's not the greatest, but it's still something. Now, this is after his activation, so technically he gets his 2 normal actions, and then you will use this attack. So if he is at range 3, then he could shoot and then maybe move back, and I'm not sure if that would be it, wind up being at range 4, but possibly. And then he could use that attack. Also, as far as I understand, since it is a 4 to infinity, if maybe you had your mortars, or I should say, if you had your shores recon intel go up in scout 1, and then you place your mortar within or at that speed 1 away from the leader, it could possibly fire support. So, I mean, it could, if you were to measure it right, you could be throwing 4 red and 3 white with the sharpshooter 1, critical, or surge to crit, and impact 2. So, yeah, that would probably be a better attack, because then, like I said, you could probably maybe do an attack with Veers if someone was close enough, then move him back. He's probably not going to hit anything, but you're probably also going to want to give out aims. So that's really, really tough. It just kind of depends. If anything, you probably hand out aims, you probably move, or you take an aim yourself, and then you attack. That's usually how it goes. But like I said, if you can get a mortar in range 4 of something, and he can fire support, by all means, that'll be even better. But yeah, that's his 1 pip. Super, super simple. His 2 pip, evasive maneuvers, gives it 2 vehicles. So when a friendly vehicle unit is issued an order, it gains a dodge token. Friendly vehicle units can spend dodge tokens to cancel crits. Another great way to use this is if you have HQ uplink on any of your vehicles, including your bikes or, you have your bikes, you've got your ATST, you've got your GAV, and then you've got your LAT. If any of them had HQ uplink, and maybe you had, say that you are in Blizzard Force. Say that the ATST has HQ uplink, and then you were to give those 2 orders to 2 of the bikes, and then maybe you had HQ uplink on another bike. All of them that wind up getting orders that round is going to be able to gain a dodge and use those dodges to cancel crits. Because it just says when a friendly vehicle unit is issued an order. It doesn't say issued an order to itself or issued an order from this card. As long as they have a face-up order token, then they get the dodge and can cancel crits. Which would be really nice if Veers had direct, because if he could direct an ATST for free, and then you were to give 2 other vehicles this card, then you'd have 3 vehicles that will get a dodge and can use them to cancel crits. So yeah, that's an amazing card because, again, it doesn't specify if it has to be given this or an order from this card that it gets it. So if you were to properly build a list with that, then you probably could. And since Veers is a little bit cheaper, you might have the points for it. So, yeah, not bad. I like it. Now, the generic 2-pip pinned down is 2 support or heavy, so whichever ones, you can give out those 2 orders. So after a friendly support or heavy unit performs an attack against a unit with a face-up order token, shuffle that order token back into its order pool. You could give these to the bikes. You could give them to both heavies. You could give them to a bike and a heavy, as far as I understand. And try to, if it's CIS, that's okay, because then they have AI something, and they're going to have to do the AI, which kind of forces them to change plans. Or if, the only person who got an order was Vader, maybe if you were to go first, you could try to attack Vader. It doesn't say if you wound them or anything. It just says as long as you perform an attack, that unit with the face-up order token has to shuffle it back into its order pool. And if there's 10 activations total in that entire army, the chances are you're going to be doing a lot before Vader gets pulled. So this is a really good one, and it doesn't have to be with Veers. I just included it with Veers because Veers can, do double ATST or at least an ATST and vehicles. So this would be a good one to have, especially if it's not Blizzard Force. I honestly think that Veers shines the most in Blizzard Force because of the vehicle stuff, and he's really kind of more of a support unit outside of Blizzard Force, in my opinion. If I'm trying to my job is to make everything as efficient as possible for someone, because personal training, I want to try and give the person the results they want as fast as I can and with the most of ease, because you want to be able to get the most for the biggest bang for your buck, and you want to make your workouts more efficient so you don't have to do as much. So that's how I think, and I put Veers in a category of Blizzard Force, and I think that with Blizzard Force, he just does really, really well. All right, and then his 3-pip, Imperial Discipline. This is a good one, because, it does give it to Veers in 2 units, because then at least Veers could go first, hand out the aims, and do what he needs to do, and he'll get a free recover action himself, because when a friendly unit is issued an order, it can recover. So Veers will recover himself. So if he has any suppression, or if you had something eventually that exhausted, it could be brought back, but it's mostly for the other 2 units. And those other 2 units, I'm glad it says units and not vehicles or troopers, because you can give it to either one. And so if you have Shores with a comms technician and HQ uplink, you give them an order, they're going to be able to recover that HQ uplink for free. And then for the next turn, they've got that so they can keep doing it. So that's at least 3 consecutive turns that you could use HQ uplink. Then the next turn, you give them a free recover, and then it still gives them an order, still giving them an aim. Then the next turn, maybe if they're already in position, they could pop it at the beginning of the round, giving them an aim. Then they could just recover and shoot, and then keep doing the same thing if they're in a really good position, so they don't have to move. They get the free aim every single time. You have better order control, and they have to coordinate to a mortar, which for fire support is really good, really nice. Sometimes I don't ever want to fire support my mortars because it's a suppressive weapon, and if you fire support, then the attack that you're doing that's involving the fire support will be suppressive, but then that takes away 1 extra suppression that round. Because if you were to shoot with 2 different units, 1 unit would give it a suppression, and then the mortar would give it 2 more suppression, giving it 3. But if you fire support, you're only giving it 2. And right now with suppression, you kind of want more suppression. So the only time I would say you want to fire support with the mortar on here is if you desperately need to get some wounds early onto someone, and then that's it, really. Because it's the first round, suppression, probably they're going to either recover or they're going to be able to keep moving, get behind cover, do whatever the first round and not have to worry about it. So that's why I think the fire support, the first round would be good, especially with an impact 2, surge to crit, sharpshooter 1, be 7 dice total. Yeah, beautiful. All right, that's really all of the command cards. Let's take a look at the possible command upgrades that you would bring on him. Aggressive tactics would be amazing because your ATST doesn't naturally surge to hit, so having some surge tokens would be great. Shores, obviously, they don't surge at all. Mortars don't naturally surge, so having them for the attack would be amazing. Or even if you really wanted better defense and you just wanted those surges out for defensive purposes, And then, Stormtroopers already surged to hit. Snow's already surged to hit. So if you did have aggressive tactics and you wound up giving orders to the Storms and Snows, at least their defense is better. But that's mostly it. Aggressive tactics could be good for any vehicles and shores. Or even the snipers. If you were to give orders to snipers from General Veers, that would be also good to have. Commanding Presence is a good one for Veers as well because, like I said, if he is the vehicle commander and you put bikes with him, the bikes are going to be moving speed 3, they can pulse, they're going to be getting far away. So if you can move Veers in a way to where that range 1 to 4 will benefit him, especially with the bikes, then I would put Commanding Presence on him. So yeah, Commanding Presence is great on Veers. Esteemed Leader, if you're really trying to keep him alive, I don't think it's worth it. But yeah, Esteemed Leader could work. Improvised Orders, I feel like is a must and a staple because he's got 2 command slots. And so Improvised Orders is always nice to have. Except when you have a very repetitive army. So for the Shadow Collective list, I like to play with Maul and the Mandos. It's like either 3 or 4 core, 3 special forces, and possibly just 1 commander because I'm always going to be giving the order to Maul, at least. If I wanted a special forces and I use improvised orders because I've got so many and or core, you might pull the same thing. So it's tough for that one. But when you have like Veers and maybe just an ATSD and multiple bikes and you've got some core and maybe a special forces or something like that, the improvised orders could be really handy. And or if you want to go with your bikes and you can only give an order to one of them, or none of them have an order, but we're only giving it the Veers, like his 1 pip, improvised orders would be nice to have. So that's why I recommend improvised orders. Inspiring Presence is pointless because he's Courage 2, and there's no point spending 5 presents for, or 5 points, not presents, 5 points for the Inspiring Presence for Courage 2. Not worth it. Lead by Example, okay, that's good. He's got Inspire 1, so Lead by Example could give him Inspire 3, making him way better. But if you have points to spare, sure. If you're really worried about suppression, sure. Why not? Strict Orders, it's good to have, but you're probably going to be better off giving strict orders in CIS. I don't know. I'd rather go with Lead by Example over strict orders because I'd rather try to... I don't know. Strict orders and Lead by Example, they're both good. They're both fine. I never use strict orders because that's 5 points I could spend on, prepared supplies, or maybe 5 points you could spend on improvised orders, or 5 points you can spend on something else. Yeah, so strict orders is good because you're only giving out maybe up to 3 orders, maybe up to 2 orders. If you had HQ uplink on a lot of them, then sure, because it just says when a friendly trooper unit with a face-up order token activates during its rally step, it can just remove a suppression token instead of having to roll for it. So if you had Veers and he had his 3 pip, giving it to him, 2 others, and you had maybe HQ uplink to give a few more orders out, then strict orders could be a lot more beneficial. Underworld Connection, you're probably definitely taking it if you have 2 bounty hunters. So sure, yeah. And Vigilance isn't necessarily something I always bring in Empire, mostly because they want aims, not dodges, and they've got red defense dice, so you're taking a gamble with that. But Vigilance is not something I usually think of when I think of Empire, and that's just me. Now, Vigilance could go well, again, with, Iden, because Iden has Nimble, so you might be able to keep and dodge on her to make her a little bit tankier the whole time. But again, she's going to thrive with aims because of Marksman. So those are the possible upgrades that you could bring on to Veers. And the gear that you're probably going to bring on him is mostly just electro binoculars. That's probably the only thing you're going to wind up bringing on him. Ascension cables, probably just not worth it on Veers. He's a commander and mostly a support unit. So that's why the electro binoculars would go well, because he's also already got the spotter 2, so it would just make it spotter 3. If you were to give portable scanners, then you're having to spend 1 action to hand out 2 aims and another action to hand out a dodge. And so that other action you could free up if you don't take portable scanners. And then if you just took electro binoculars, you could just hand out the aims and then have another action to do with what you want. Emergency stims isn't worth it on Veers. It's probably worth it on someone else. Environmental gear, he's probably not struggling. You're not worried about moving him into another unit. You're probably just moving him back and or keeping him behind something. So environmental gear, not necessarily worth it in my opinion. Grappling hooks, the same thing. Probably not worth it on Veers. Portable scanner, not worth it on Veers in my opinion. But there's a chance that someone could bring it. Prepared supplies, again, to me, Veers is not that important. Recon intel, and portables and or targeting scopes. He's already got precise one, so you don't need targeting scopes. So really, if you're ever going to really load him out, electro binoculars, maybe aggressive tactics and improvised orders, or if you don't want aggressive tactics, maybe just commanding presence if you're bringing a ton of vehicles that will get ahead of him. Bringing him up really to 88 points. It could go even higher, so maybe if you did have aggressive tactics, it would be 98 for Veers, so maybe not quite that worth it. Lead by example could just be 91, so that could be worth it. That would be a good one to have. And I say worth it because of the lead by example and improvised orders and the electro binoculars. So it's Inspire 3, Spotter 3, and then you can make sure to, change out in order. All right, so that's mostly Veers. Simple and easy again. Let's go over a few different lists, mostly 800-point lists. I haven't done any 500-point lists with him because maybe unless you're bringing an ATSD, you could, but I'd rather just bring something more melee-oriented and something that's probably going to do a lot more damage than 3 white dice and or 2 black dice. But let's take a look at the first one. So we have Veers with improvised and electro binoculars. We've got 2 ATSDs with the elite armor pilot, twin light blaster cannon, and linked targeting array. Because of that 2-pip, the 3-pip can still give it out to him, even though they might not need to recover. At least giving them that order would be very nice. You could also make sure to give out those orders to the shore troopers or the strike teams or whatever you need. But yeah, it's a double ATST list. You've got your shores with the T-21B and the Astromech. You've got the mortar for just a super cheap unit. You've got the snows with Del Mico and the R4 Astromech, and then you've got 3 strike teams. So you've got 4 snipers, you've got 2 other range 4 weapons, and then you've got another range 4 weapon, and then you've got a range 4 to infinity for the first turn, and then normal 3 for the regular. The ATST, again, don't quite get into melee, because you're not going to be able to make use of that arsenal too, because nothing else is... they can't get into... It's not considered melee, so yeah, I guess you'd only get the 4 red, and then you could, shoot at someone else. It just depends. It's honestly just kind of up to you. But always giving them orders to give them an aim for free would be really nice. Having the shores there, if you had to give them an order, could be really good. But with this team of the double ATSTs and, the strike teams and stuff, maybe maximum firepower... If you do have an extra 2 points that if you wanted to give the shores the recon intel to try to get that mortar in range of fire supporting for the first turn with his 1-pip, you can do that, make it 800 points. And then with that spotter, you're going to be able to give the shores an extra aim. You're going to be able to maybe give the mortar an extra aim and the snows an extra aim because maybe, or if you didn't give out an order to the ATSTs, maybe you've got spotter 3, so maybe give 2 aims to the ATST and then 1 to the snows because you've got Del Mico. Or if you're around the snipers, you can maybe do that, but it's just kind of up to you because you've got the long range. And with this one, you got to kind of be careful with your objectives. Breakthrough could be good because you've got the 2 ATSTs that could, break through and everyone else, and you can keep your shores, your snows behind the ATST for that line of sight blocking. And then with the snows, they have steady. So maybe you were to move out, shoot, and then move back behind the ATST, especially if they already had an aim through Veers. That could be a really good combo because you're moving them out of cover to shoot so they could see, and then moving them back behind cover to where they can't be seen at all. And then it's a range 1 to 5, high velocity, and lethal. So if you have that aim, and you didn't need to use it to reroll, then you could use it for that. But they don't have sharpshooter. So you just have to be careful, but I like it on the snows because you can always aim, move, so that you're always still mobile and still moving. You're not stuck, and then still shoot. So there's lots of things that you can still do with the snows. I really like a lot. And then again, with the objectives, breakthrough, like I said, could be okay. Intercept the transmissions, no, because it's mostly a trooper unit-based objective. Key positions could be really good. Recover the supplies because you've got your snipers. That would be okay. Sabotage, I don't usually do unless I have a bounty hunter because of the tiebreakers, but because you're 800 points, if you were, and you've got such long range, that maybe Sabotage the Moisture Evaporators would be good, because if they're going after your ATSTs, you've got Delamico and the R4 Astromech that can heal, as well as the Shores having an Astromech that can heal the other one if they need to. But, Delamico and the Astromech, they could do, for one turn, you could do remove 3 wounds, and then the next turn, you can remove 1. Because Delmico has his free actions, and then R4 has their free action. And Delmico heals 2 wounds once, and the Astromech heals 1 wound twice. So, but using them in concert with each other, that could just remove 3 in one turn. That wouldn't be bad. And then technically, Bombing Run you could do, because you could give both bombs to the ATST, and then another one to maybe the Mortar, and just keep the Mortar behind line of sight behind that ATST, because he's got Courage 2 and a bigger base than your small base troopers. So he'd be able to move a little bit faster. He could shoot and then move, and then shoot and then move because of cumbersome. But if you just wanted him to double move, that would be fine too. But at least you have that choice. So yeah, that's the double ATST. The list will be down in the description below. Let's take a look at the Veers 4Bikes ATST Blizzard Force. So you have Commanding Presence and Electro Binoculars, which is a little different because of the Commanding Presence, because you've got 4 speeder bikes. Then you have the ATST again with the Armor Pilot, the Light Twin Blaster Cannon, and the Linked Targeting Array. This gives you Impact 4, and then each bike has Impact, or bike unit has Impact 2. If one bike goes down, then you have Impact 1, but that's 2, 4, 6, 8, and then another 4, so that's 12. Plus you have the DLT, which is another, and you have twice, so that's Impact 14 that you have possible in the list. You have 2 Naked Snows for mostly the objectives, in case you needed to have the objectives, but you got the ATST. And then look at your command cards. You've got the Maximum Firepower. Then you've also got Overwhelming Barrage. You've got the Debark for Ground Assault, which each unit's going to gain... each friendly core trooper unit that was issued in order is going to gain Spur, and it's 3 units, so maybe you were to give it to both heavy response units, maybe the Snow, they gain Spur, each of the weapons gain Suppressive, and then maybe the next turn you do Imperial Discipline, get rid of the suppression that they incurred while they were trying to Spur, and boom, there you go. And then you have maybe Maximum Firepower before or after Overwhelming Barrage, and then you still have the Unrelenting Fire here. So Maximum Firepower, and then Overwhelming Barrage, or vice versa, and then Unrelenting Firepower, which enemy units cannot remove more than 1 suppression token during the rally step. Or maybe if you just went with Overwhelming, so Maximum and Overwhelming can be used interchangeably. Like maybe you want to use this the first round, that the second round, or this the first round, since they're going to be close to each other in deployment. And then once they spread out, maybe use Maximum Firepower. You don't have anything with fire support right now, so it would just be the 4 black, or 4 red, sorry. And then maybe you use Debark for Ground Assault to give everybody the suppressive keyword, and then maybe Unrelenting Firepower or Imperial Discipline, depends on who gets most suppression. Like if you double move and you have 2 suppression, but you were already maybe suppressed or something like that, you might want to go with the free recover rather than the Unrelenting Firepower. But if you have the chance and you use Unrelenting Firepower, enemy units cannot remove more than 1 suppression token during the rally step, no matter what. This is even more powerful against any unit with Indomitable. So like the 501st that allows everyone within range 1 of Rex or Anakin to have Indomitable, and or Wookiees that have Indomitable, this is going to be a good card to play against them. And then you've got the 2 vehicles. Maybe you give one of those orders to the ATST and another one to a speeder bike, giving the ATST an aim and a dodge to be able to cancel the crits. And with as much impact as is around, evasive maneuvers is probably going to be a good one to use. But yeah, this is a 10-act Veers ATST, 4 speeder bikes still. So you're still packing a punch. It's amazing. I like this. It's got, again, so much firepower without even, like, before the turn starts, and I've said this before, being able to have that range 4 to infinity at the end of activations. So maybe, again, you can get damage done before the round not before the round starts, but it's just extra damage. It's just extra firepower that's making up probably for the snows or whatever else. But yeah, this is a really good like damage output list. Really nice to have. If I had 5 more points, then I'd probably do improvised orders. But for the most part, Veers is going to get in order at least 2 of the turns, and then the other units, it just, I don't know. Not bad, though. I like this list. And then the objectives, breakthrough could be good because you've got your 4 bikes and you got your ATST. Hostage exchange could be good because you have your snows that can double move and then still shoot, and you're moving at speed 1 anyway, and then their courage increases. So snows and mortars are the Empire's best hostage carriers. And then you have bombing run, which would be great on the bikes, and then key positions because the vehicles can also score in key positions. All right. And then the third list, we've got Callus. And I just decided to do Callus because obviously he went down in price, and you can stack him, and he's so close to the 100. And he's much better than Veers. Now with Agent Callus, I have improvised orders on him and not Veers because 2 of Callus's command cards allow him for a free recover. So maybe at the beginning of the round, you didn't like an order, you used improvised orders, then you wind up drawing Callus. You can recover with him, get back improvised orders, and then maybe later in the round, you used improvised orders a second time. So that's why I have it on Callus, is those free recover actions. I have tenacity on him because obviously there's no other melee-oriented unit in here. So him with the bow staff, it'd be 2 red, 2 black, and a white. So you're rolling 5 dice instead of 4. He's got lethal, surge to crit. He gains charge and immune to pierce in melee. Such an amazing little melee weapon. And then again, range 1 to 3. You're shooting 4 dice with sharpshooter 1, lethal, and anytime he moves, because he's got tactical 1. I say tactile touches a lot during my training, so that's why I keep saying tactile instead of tactical. My bad. But yeah, the sharpshooter 1, the tactical 1, so he gains an aim. He can use it to obviously reroll or for that lethal. So he's good. And then with environmental gear, he's got a 1 pip that allows him, again, to kind of recover. He gains agile 1 and block. So he can, and enemy units can't withdraw from him. Having that environmental gear to make sure that either barricades or, difficult terrain, that way it just doesn't stop him. He can make sure to move at that speed too without any hindrances. So I think this is probably the best loadout for Agent Callus right now. Maybe if you wanted to give him Seize the Initiative instead, that would be nice. And or maybe Offensive Push or Endurance. Those 3 or 4, including Tenacity, would be great options for him. I forgot if I've done a video on him, but I can eventually. Veers, I just have Electro Binoculars, keeping him pretty cheap at 78 points. This is an anti-armor list, so if you're looking for a big anti-armor, this could be a good one. So you have the 2 Stormtroopers with the HH-12, the Stormtrooper Specialist, and Recon Intel. One of them has the concussion grenades for that blast, because they already have Impact 3 at range 2 to 4. When someone gets close, they're going to be rolling white dice. So that concussion grenade to get rid of any kind of cover is going to help the white dice a lot more. And with Precise, it's just hopeful. But with the Recon Intel, hopefully you're getting at least two range 4, and then you've got the Specialist. And since the HH-12 is exhaustible and cumbersome, the Specialist just allows you to have that free aim, and then you can recover and still get the aim, and then still shoot. So you have your Recon Intel, you move. So you have your Scout 1. Then your turn, you can, pop the Stormtrooper Specialist to get the aim. You can shoot, and then you can recover and get it all back for the next turn, or shoot and move, and then the next turn you recover, and you can pop the Stormtrooper Specialist, and then the HH-12, and then the next turn you recover and do the same thing. It's just kind of whatever order you want. You could do that. I've got the Shore Troopers in here with the T-21B, the Comms Technician, targeting scopes because of the amount of dice you're going to be rolling, and HQ uplink so that they can, get the order, because you've got command cards like the 1 pips that just give it out to them specifically, and then the 3 pips that you're giving it to Callus and or Veers along with 2 other units, and so you're probably going to want to have that HQ uplink to just coordinate to a mortar and maybe give it to the two storm troopers, so then you almost have a good order control. It's just kind of up to you on what you want to do. I have the ISB investigation in there because that's such a good card, and then I've got push to give it out to maybe the shores or both stormtroopers or both generals. That way you have them, a support unit and an attack unit, and then the rest of them you're going to draw. It's either going to be core or special forces, and the special forces doesn't really matter when they go unless they're in a bad position. But this is a great long range between the stormtroopers and the shores and mortar. You've got really good long range, but then you've got your Black Sun enforcers with the Magdet, Black Sun, Vigo, and the frag grenades in case anyone decides to get close. So let's just say Dark Troopers. Dark Troopers, you can use your storms and your shores to shoot them from long distance, and then when they decide to play Gideon's 2-pip and get him in, or get one of the Dark Troopers in, you've got your Black Sun enforcers for that Impact 3, Blast, frag grenades for that surge to crit. Hopefully you're going to be doing a ton of damage if anyone does get close. And then you also have your strike teams to be able to shoot far away. And granted, this is an 11-act list that is fully stacked. You've got 6-man units with all of your core. So if you're looking to make sure you have bodies and activations, this is going to be a really, really good one. Because even with Veers' 3-pip that allows 2 units to recover, you give it to Veers and both stormtroopers, they can recover for free. Or maybe you give it to Veers, one of the stormtroopers that has already exhausted whatever it is, and then maybe another one to the shore troopers so they can get their HQ uplink back, and then use that another turn that maybe you need to use max or face me or ISB investigation or something else where you don't need to give them an order but still give them an aim and an order and all that good stuff. So an 11-act anti-armor list. You've got, like I said, impact 6 between these two, another impact 6 between these two, so that's already impact 12 in the list, along with critical 1 with both of these, and then both of your commanders already surge to crit. Yeah, surge to crit, impact 3, surge to crit for 1, surge to crit for 1, impact 3, sharpshooter. A little different, but yeah. So this is a good anti-armor list if you need one. Again, links are going to be down with or in the description. The link will be there to the list. And lastly, you've got a 9-act Veers. This is kind of like a total random list, but I've got aggressive tactics in there to make sure you give out whatever surge tokens you want, especially to the occupier tank. Improvised and electro binoculars. I've got IG with the basic hunter and targeting scopes. Same price as Bosk. So it just kind of depends on who you want, Bosk or IG-88. I would just put IG-88 on here for the fact that, if you're going to bring something to heal vehicles like Del Mico, then he can heal IG or the tank, whichever one you want. And then I have the occupier tank with Governor Price to hand out those free aims, and then possibly suppression in case someone needs it. Because then you also have Veers that can, inspire 1 just if need be. And the link targeting array, so that way if you do give it the occupier tank in order, it does get that aim. Now, Governor Price can give the aim to the E-Web, and then the E-Web is sitting on the back of the Gav. There is no fixed front, so you can't use the, barrage generators, because while performing a ranged attack, that weapon has fixed. You can add 2 white attack dice, and since it loses its fixed front, you can't use these while the E-Web's on the back of the occupier tank. But, if you did have emergency transponder on there, or maybe you had linked targeting array, instead of linked targeting array, maybe you decided to do onboard comms channel, and maybe give the E-Web an order, and give it linked targeting array. That would be good to do as well, giving you 6 extra points to kind of do with what you want. In case you needed extra grenades, you could do grenades, impact grenades, since this is kind of lacking a little bit of impact, or whatever else. Maybe if you wanted to give the shore troopers, blast at range 1 and then still have them shoot the rest of their, the gun. So you'd have the gun, which would be 2 black, 2 white, and then all the rest of them have a black anyway. Blast would be amazing. And or you've got enough for the frag grenades. That could work. And then I have Gideon with the comms tech and targeting scopes. Now, technically, you don't have to have the targeting scopes on Gideon's. You could maybe give this one. Oh, well, you got recon intel on the short troopers here. Well, how about we flip-flop this? How about we give targeting scopes, since you're going to be shooting probably with the T-21B. The targeting scopes would be great with that heavy. Not so much with this one, but you can still benefit from getting your mortar in really into a fire support position with Veers' 1 pip. And also, the reason I have Veers and IG-88, I remember now, was because of the command cards. You don't necessarily have a need for Veers' 2 pip, which opens up the 2 pip slots for both of IG-88's cards. And that's another thing. It's always so difficult for me to kind of pick IGs with any of the commanders because I want both of his 2 pips somehow. So pairing him up with either Boba Fett is good because sometimes you might not need all of Boba's 2 pips. Or, yeah, I mean, and or Veers, where you don't have to have those bringing or having the ability to bring all of IG's command cards are amazing because he's good. Especially since this is not going to be, you don't have a melee user. If someone's coming out with a Jedi, then you're laying down focus on the kill so that they can't use any of their tokens whenever they're the target of an attack by IG. And then, this unit cannot, if IG-88 has wounds equal to or exceeding his wound threshold, he's not defeated until the start of the end phase. So that kind of gives you the ability, if you can quickly heal him to where he's not equal or exceeding his wound threshold, then you don't have to defeat him. And then he can hold out for one more turn completely. So IG-88 is great. And then, again, the occupier tank is a line-of-sight blocker. And then your shores could technically, so like with Gideon, he can coordinate to just a core trooper unit. And technically, this unit of shores could coordinate to this unit of shores so that they both get the aims, and then this shore can coordinate to one of the mortars, or because of the E-Web being an emplacement trooper, technically, you could, have Gideon coordinate in order to these shores, and then these shores technically coordinate in order to the E-Web, which will gain linked targeting array in case you don't give the occupier tank in order. At least the E-Web's always getting an aim, and then you can always take another aim and shoot, and you do surge to crit. Yeah, this is just a fun list. And the reason I have aggressive tactics on Veers is because no matter who you give it to, they're going to benefit from a surge, whether it be the E-Web or the 2 shores, or maybe the snows for defense. At least the mortar, the tank, they all need aggressive tactics and a surge. But you could free up 15 points and do way more upgrades to maybe the snows or the shores, or maybe even give IG-88 HQ uplink. But just whatever. So this is a 9-act list. This is just a fun one, and because I haven't used the occupier tank in a while, and then IG-88, is hard to pair up with someone who I want to use other 2 pips for. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that is it. If you guys liked this, go ahead, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and that'll also enter you in to win the $25 gift card. If you haven't already, head to the Discord, become a member. It's free. Post all of your photos, no matter what. If you go to a tournament, please post it. If you have a good Empire list, please post it. It's really nice to see the different lists that people try because you might get really good ideas. So come on, join up, and then head to the Patreon where you can become a member, support the giveaways, and also just get extra little, videos yourself, especially early. And then you can head to the Burn Academy, like I said, .com, or theburnacademy.com, like I said. For $15 a month, you could subscribe to get all of this stuff to you. If you've got any questions, do not hesitate to reach out and talk to me. I will gladly answer any of your questions. But besides that, thank you so much. And I want to give a special shout out to the Patreon members, Anthony Estrada for being the best commander, I have Kitsune and Emperor Atlantis as the best special forces leaders, and Tyson as a core captain to make sure that he does not allow the unit to panic. He is there still and very important. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I'll catch you in the next week's video. Take it easy, and may the force be with you always.